My landlord destroyed my apartment, then scheduled a surprise visit saying I am a horrible tenant. I pushed my apartment door open after an 8-hour shift and stepped into a crime scene. The couch was flipped upside down, cushions torn open. My coffee table lay sideways with 3 legs snapped clean off. Dishes covered the kitchen floor in a mosaic of ceramic shards. Every drawer in my dresser hung open, clothes spilling out like someone had ransacked the place looking for hidden cash. I took 2 steps inside and stopped. My landlord, Patricia Brennan, stood in my hallway holding a clipboard. "Surprise inspection," she said. "You're a problem tenant." I stared at her, then at the destruction, then back at her. "What did you do?" She tapped her pen against the clipboard. "I'm documenting lease violations, property damage, negligence. You've clearly been living like an animal." "I didn't do this." My voice came out flat. "I've been at work for 8 hours." She stepped past me into the living room, surveying the wreckage like a general inspecting a battlefield. That's what they all say. I followed her, my brain trying to catch up with what was happening. 3 years in this apartment, never late on rent, never a complaint. I kept the place cleaner than most hotels. Patricia crouched near the overturned couch and snapped a photo with her phone. "Look at this. Furniture destroyed. You'll be paying for replacements. You just said this was an inspection. You're taking pictures of damage you caused." "I caused?" She stood and turned to face me, eyebrows raised in mock surprise. "I have keys for maintenance purposes. I came in to check the smoke detectors and found this disaster. You're lucky I'm giving you a chance to explain before I file an official report." My downstairs neighbor, Brandon, appeared at my open door. He held his phone at waist level, camera pointing into my apartment. Patricia didn't notice him. "You wrecked my place," I said. "Brandon texted me an hour ago saying you'd been in here." Patricia's expression didn't change. "Brandon must be mistaken. I arrived 15 minutes ago and found this mess. Maybe you should worry less about what your neighbors think they saw, and more about how you're going to fix this." She walked through the apartment like she owned it, which technically she did, but not like this. In my bedroom, she photographed my knocked-over nightstand and the lamp lying sideways on the floor. In the bathroom, she took a picture of toiletries scattered across the counter. Back in the kitchen, she zoomed in on the shattered plates. "This is going in my report," she said. "I'm giving you 72 hours to clean this up and schedule a walkthrough. If the damage isn't addressed, I'll have no choice but to pursue eviction." "Eviction for what?" "Destruction of property, lease violation, Section 8, subsection C." She tapped the clipboard. "It's all right here." Brandon was still filming from the doorway. I caught his eye and he gave me a tiny nod. Patricia walked toward the exit, then paused. "Oh, and I'll need written documentation of your repair plan by Friday. Include receipts for any replacements." She smiled. I'd hate for this to escalate. She stepped around Brandon like he wasn't there and disappeared down the stairs. I stood in the middle of my destroyed apartment, listening to her footsteps fade. Brandon lowered his phone. "I got the whole thing," he said quietly. "The inspection part. Want me to send it to you?" I looked at the wreckage, the overturned furniture, the shattered dishes, the clothes scattered like confetti. "Yeah," I said. "Send it." He nodded and left. The door clicked shut behind him. I pulled out my phone and started taking my own photos. Every angle, every broken thing, every detail that proved I'd walked into this, not caused it. She just picked on the wrong tenant. Brandon knocked on my door 3 minutes later. "Man, I heard everything," he said, stepping inside and looking at the mess. "She was up here for over an hour. I heard furniture moving, stuff crashing. Then she left for like 10 minutes and came back with that clipboard." I turned to face him. "You're sure it was her?" "Positive. I was working from home. Heard her unlock your door around 2:30. All that noise started right after." He gestured at the overturned couch. "No way you did this. The landlord definitely just set you up." My phone buzzed. Brandon again. "Want me to keep this quiet or send it to other people in the building?" I typed back. "Keep it quiet for now. I need to think." He responded immediately. "She's done this before. 2 tenants last year got evicted for property damage. Both moved out without fighting it." I sat on my overturned couch and stared at the wreckage. Patricia had a system. Destroy the apartment, document the damage, blame the tenant, collect insurance, or keep the security deposit. Maybe both. My phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello?"
"Hi, this is Vanessa from Unit 4B. Brandon gave me your number. Patricia did the same thing to my friend last year. Claimed he trashed the place and kept his entire deposit. He didn't have proof, so he just left."
I grabbed a pen. "What happened exactly?" Vanessa described a scenario identical to mine. Surprise inspection, destroyed apartment, eviction notice. Her friend had tried to fight it but couldn't afford a lawyer. Patricia had his deposit and his first month's rent as damages. "She targets people who can't afford legal help," Vanessa said. "People like us who are living paycheck to paycheck." "Did your friend have any documentation?" "Just photos after the fact." Patricia claimed he did it himself and staged the photos. I thanked Vanessa and hung up. My phone buzzed again. This time a text from someone named Caleb in Unit 2A. "Heard about Patricia. Same thing happened to me 6 months ago. Lost my deposit and had to move in with my parents. If you're fighting back, I'll testify." Then another text. Serena from Unit 3C. "Patricia pulled this on my sister. We moved out to avoid the hassle. I regret not standing up to her. Within an hour, I had messages from 7 current and former tenants. All of them had similar stories. Patricia would find a reason to enter the apartment, wreck it, document it, and evict. Some fought back but couldn't prove anything. Most just left." I called the police station again and asked for a report number from my earlier call. The officer on the phone sounded bored. "Like I said before, it's a civil matter. Take it up with a lawyer. She broke into my apartment and destroyed my property. She's the landlord. She has keys. That's not breaking and entering." I hung up and immediately called 3 lawyers I found online. The first one wanted a $5,000 retainer. The second one said landlord-tenant cases took months and cost more than I'd recover. The third one didn't even call me back. I sat in the wreckage of my apartment and realized Patricia had designed this perfectly. She knew exactly who to target and exactly how to make it impossible to fight back. My phone buzzed. Brandon again. "She just knocked on my door asking if I saw anything suspicious this afternoon. Told her I was at work all day. She looked nervous." I typed back. "Did she ask about me specifically?" "Yeah. Wanted to know if you've been acting strange or aggressive lately." I said you've always been quiet and polite. She didn't like that answer. Patricia was already building her narrative. Problem tenant. Destructive behavior. Probably a history of instability. By the time we got to any kind of hearing, she'd have a dozen complaints fabricated and documented. Another text from Brandon. She also asked if I'd be willing to make a statement about the condition of your apartment. I told her I'd think about it. I stared at my phone. Patricia wasn't just covering her tracks, she was actively recruiting witnesses. The next morning, I woke up to find a note slipped under my door, handwritten on Patricia's letterhead. Per our conversation yesterday, you have until Friday to submit a written repair plan and cost estimate for damages to Unit 5D. Failure to comply will result in immediate lease termination proceedings. All repairs must be completed by a licensed contractor. Receipts required. I took a photo of the note and added it to my evidence folder. Brandon texted me around noon. She's been in the building all morning, knocked on like 6 different doors. Pretty sure she's asking people about you. I grabbed my keys and headed downstairs. Vanessa from 4B was standing in the hallway talking to Caleb from 2A. They both looked up when I approached. We're comparing notes, Vanessa said. Patricia's been trying to spin this. Told Caleb you've been causing problems for months. Caleb nodded. She said you've been playing loud music, leaving trash in the hallway, harassing other tenants. All completely fabricated. Did she ask you to make statements? Yeah, Caleb said. Offered to reduce my rent next month if I'd confirm her version of events. I told her no. Vanessa pulled out her phone. She tried the same thing with me. Even suggested she'd waive a late fee I owe if I'd sign something saying you're a problem tenant. I recorded the conversation. She hit play. Patricia's voice came through clearly. I just need you to confirm that the tenant in 5D has been disruptive. Nothing elaborate, just a short statement, and I'll take care of that late fee from last month. Vanessa stopped the recording. I've got 3 more like that. She's desperate. I looked at both of them. Why are you helping me? Because we're tired of her getting away with it, Caleb said, and because you're actually fighting back. We stood in the hallway trading information for another 20 minutes. Patricia had been systematically targeting tenants for at least 2 years. Always the same pattern. Always people who couldn't afford lawyers. Always just enough documentation to make it look legitimate. When I got back to my apartment, there was another note under my door. Reminder, repair plan due Friday, no extensions. I called the police non-emergency line that night and explained the situation. The dispatcher transferred me to an officer who listened for about 30 seconds before cutting me off. So your landlord used her key to enter your apartment? Yes, and destroyed everything inside. Does your lease allow landlord entry for inspections and maintenance? Well, yes, but then it's a civil matter. You'll need to take it up with a lawyer or small claims court. The line went dead. I sat on my overturned couch and called my friend Rachel, who worked in real estate. She listened to the whole story before delivering the verdict. Get a lawyer like yesterday. I can't afford one. Then you're going to lose. Patricia has documentation, photos, a lease that probably covers her entry rights. Without legal representation, you're basically handing her the win. I thanked Rachel and hung up. Then I spent 2 hours calling every legal aid organization and tenant rights group in the city. Most were booked for months. One lawyer offered a free consultation, but wanted a $3,000 retainer after hearing my case. Another said landlord-tenant disputes rarely went in favor of the tenant, unless there was clear evidence of illegal activity. Do you have proof she destroyed your apartment? The lawyer asked. My neighbor heard the whole thing. Hearsay, not admissible in most cases. Do you have video? Photos from before and after? Dated documentation? Photos from after, and text messages from my neighbor. The lawyer sighed. That's not enough. She'll say you destroyed the place yourself and called your neighbor as a false witness. You need something concrete. I didn't have something concrete. By Wednesday, Patricia had slipped notes under my door 3 more times. Each one demanded the repair plan. Each one threatened immediate eviction proceedings. Each one made it clearer that she wasn't backing down. Brandon kept me updated on her movements. She'd knocked on 6 different doors, asking if anyone had witnessed concerning behavior from me. She'd posted a notice in the building lobby about maintaining community standards. She'd even started parking directly outside the entrance, watching who came and went. Thursday morning, I woke up to find another envelope at my door. This time it wasn't a note. It was the official eviction notice. 30 days to vacate. Reason: willful destruction of property and violation of lease terms. I read it 3 times. The language was airtight. She'd cited specific lease clauses, referenced her photographic evidence, included a detailed list of damages with estimated repair costs totaling $8,000. She was demanding I pay for everything or leave immediately. I took the notice downstairs and showed it to Brandon. This is insane, he said. She's the one who wrecked your place. I know, but I can't prove it. Brandon pulled out his phone. What if I made a statement, like an official written statement saying I heard everything? The lawyers I talked to said that's hearsay, won't hold up in court. He put his phone away. So she just gets away with it? I didn't answer. Vanessa from 4B caught me in the stairwell that afternoon. She looked furious. Patricia came to my door this morning and accused me of spreading lies about her. Said if I don't stop talking to other tenants about her business practices, she'll start looking for reasons to evict me too. She threatened you? Not directly, but the message was clear. Keep quiet or I'm next. I told Vanessa about the eviction notice. She shook her head. My friend went through the exact same thing. He tried to fight it. Spent $2,000 on a lawyer. Lost anyway. Patricia had photos and documentation. He had nothing but his word. What happened to him? He moved back in with his parents and declared bankruptcy. The court ordered him to pay for the damages plus Patricia's legal fees. I went back to my apartment and stared at the eviction notice. 30 days. After 3 years of paying rent on time, keeping the place clean, never causing problems. 30 days because my landlord decided to destroy my home and blame me for it. My phone buzzed. Text from Caleb in 2A. Patricia just asked me to sign a statement saying I've seen you acting erratically. Offered to waive my late rent if I cooperate. I said no, but she's building a case against you. I typed back. Thanks for not signing. Another buzz. This time from Serena in 3C. Heads up. Patricia told me you've been harassing other tenants and causing disturbances. Asked if I'd be willing to testify. I refused, but she's definitely trying to stack evidence. I set my phone down and looked around my destroyed apartment. The couch was still flipped. The dishes were still shattered. The drawers were still hanging open with clothes spilling out. I hadn't cleaned any of it because I wanted to preserve the scene, but now it just felt like living in the wreckage of someone else's crime. Friday morning arrived with another note under my door. Final notice. Repair plan required by 5 p.m. today. Failure to comply will result in immediate lease termination and legal action to recover damages. I didn't have a repair plan. I didn't have $3,000 for a lawyer. I didn't have concrete evidence that Patricia had destroyed my apartment. All I had was a neighbor who heard it happen and a group of former tenants who'd been through the same thing. I grabbed my keys and walked to Patricia's office on the ground floor. She was sitting at her desk when I knocked. "Come in." I stepped inside and closed the door. She looked up from her computer with an expression that was almost sympathetic. "I assume you're here about the repair plan? I'm not paying for damages I didn't cause." Patricia leaned back in her chair. "Then you'll be hearing from my lawyer. And trust me, the legal fees will cost you more than the repairs. You destroyed my apartment. You know it. I know it. Brandon knows it." She smiled. "Brandon heard noises. That's all. For all anyone knows, you were up there having a breakdown and wrecking the place yourself. My documentation shows I arrived for a routine inspection and found the damage already done. Why are you doing this?" "Because I can," she said simply. "And because tenants like you think you have rights. You don't. I own this building. I have lawyers. I have documentation. You have nothing." I stood there for a long moment, then turned and walked out. Back in my apartment, I sat on the floor surrounded by wreckage and tried to figure out what to do next. 30 days to move out. $8,000 in damages I couldn't pay. No legal options. No evidence that would hold up in court. Patricia had designed this perfectly. She knew exactly who to target and exactly how to make sure they couldn't fight back. My phone buzzed. "Brandon. She just posted a notice in the lobby. Says there's a problem tenant in the building who's been destructive and disruptive. Doesn't name you specifically, but everyone knows who she's talking about." I didn't respond. I just sat there staring at the eviction notice, realizing that in 7 days I'd be officially homeless unless I came up with a plan. Brandon showed up at my door Saturday morning holding a folder. "I made copies of everything," he said. "Text messages, my written statement, dates and times. Maybe we can submit it all to housing court or something." I took the folder and flipped through it. His statement was detailed. He documented every sound he'd heard, every conversation we'd had, every interaction with Patricia. But Rachel's words kept echoing in my head. Hearsay, not admissible. "Thanks," I said, "but I don't think it's going to be enough." Brandon looked at the wreckage behind me. "You can't just give up." "I'm not giving up. I'm being realistic." He left, and I spent the rest of the morning cleaning. I righted the couch, swept up the broken dishes, organized the scattered clothes. It felt pointless, but sitting in the chaos was making everything worse. By noon, Vanessa texted me. "Patricia just knocked on my door again. Asked if I'd reconsidered making a statement against you. She's not letting this go." Then Caleb texted. "She offered to drop 2 months of late fees if I'd sign something saying you've been aggressive with other tenants." I told her to leave me alone. Patricia was working the building like a campaign manager, trying to build a coalition against me. Every tenant she recruited was another nail in my defense. I walked down to the lobby and looked at the notice board. Patricia's message was still there, printed on official building letterhead. Community safety notice. "Recent incidents have raised concerns about tenant behavior and property damage. All residents are reminded to maintain respectful conduct and preserve building standards. Management reserves the right to terminate leases for violations. Report any concerns to the landlord's office immediately." It didn't mention me by name, but everyone knew. 3 other tenants were standing near the notice when I arrived. They stopped talking and looked away when they saw me. I went back upstairs and found another note under my door. "Mandatory apartment inspection scheduled for Monday, 10 a.m. Presence required. Monday, 2 days away." Another chance for Patricia to document whatever she wanted. I called Brandon and told him about the inspection. "Don't let her in alone," he said immediately. "Get someone else there, a witness." "Who's going to witness for me? Everyone in this building is either scared of her or working with her." "Then call someone from outside, a friend, family, anyone." I didn't have family nearby. Most of my friends worked during the day, but I called Rachel anyway and explained the situation. "I'll take a half day," she said. "I'll be there Monday morning." Sunday night, I barely slept. I kept running through scenarios. Patricia would come in with her clipboard and find new violations. Maybe the cleaning I'd done wasn't good enough. Maybe she'd plant something. Maybe she'd claim I'd damaged the walls or the floors or something I couldn't even see. Monday morning, Rachel showed up at 9:30. She looked around my apartment and shook her head. "This is crazy. Your place is cleaner than mine." It wasn't a week ago. At exactly 10 o'clock, Patricia knocked on my door. I opened it to find her standing there with 2 men I'd never seen before. "These are independent contractors," Patricia said. "They'll be assessing the damage and providing repair estimates." Rachel stepped forward. "I'm here as a witness." Patricia's expression tightened. "This is a private inspection between landlord and tenant, and I'm here to observe." Patricia looked at the 2 contractors, then back at Rachel. "Fine, but don't interfere." The contractors walked through my apartment with measuring tapes and notepads, photographing walls and floors and fixtures. They spent 20 minutes examining things that had nothing to do with the supposed damage from last week. One of them took close-up photos of minor scuffs on the baseboards. The other measured a small crack in the bathroom tile that had been there since I moved in 3 years ago. Patricia followed behind them with her clipboard, nodding and making notes. "What are they doing?" Rachel whispered. "Building a case," I said. When the contractors finished, Patricia handed me a printed form. "Sign here acknowledging the inspection took place." I read the form carefully. It included a paragraph stating that I acknowledged responsibility for all damage found during the inspection. "I'm not signing this." Patricia smiled. "Then I'll note your refusal in my records. That'll look great in court." Rachel grabbed the form and read it. "This is a liability admission. He's right not to sign it." "It's standard procedure," Patricia said. "It's a trap," Rachel said. "And I'm photographing this form as evidence that you tried to coerce him into signing a false statement." Patricia's smile faded. She took the form back, said something quietly to the contractors, and walked out. The contractors followed her without saying a word. Rachel turned to me. "She's trying to bury you in documentation. Every inspection, every form, every note is designed to build an airtight case that you're a problem tenant who destroyed the property. So what do I do?" "I don't know, but you need something that completely changes the narrative, something she can't spin or talk her way out of." After Rachel left, I sat in my clean apartment and tried to think. Patricia had photos, documentation, contractors backing up her story. I had nothing except Brandon's statement and a handful of sympathetic neighbors. Then my phone rang. Unknown unknown number. Hello? Is this the tenant in Unit 5D? A woman's voice. Professional. Clipped. Yeah, who's this? My name is Olivia Grant. I'm an investigator with the City Housing Authority. We received multiple complaints about your building's landlord. I'd like to ask you some questions. I sat up straighter. What kind of complaints? Illegal evictions, property damage claims, tenant intimidation. Your name came up in 3 separate reports filed last week. By who? I can't disclose that, but I need to know if you're willing to provide a statement about your experiences with Patricia Brennan. I told Olivia everything. The destroyed apartment, the eviction notice, the fake inspection, Patricia's attempts to recruit false witnesses, Brandon's statement, the other former tenants who'd been through the same thing. Olivia listened without interrupting. When I finished, she asked me to send photos and documentation to an official email address. How long will this take? I asked. Investigations can take weeks or months, but if we find evidence of systematic violations, we can issue citations and fines. In extreme cases, we can refer the matter to the district attorney's office. I have 30 days before I'm evicted. Then you need to file a response with housing court immediately. The investigation might not move fast enough to stop the eviction, but it could provide leverage. I thanked Olivia and hung up. Then I spent the rest of the afternoon compiling everything I had into a single folder. Photos, texts from Brandon, statements from Vanessa and Caleb, the eviction notice, Patricia's threatening notes, the inspection form she'd tried to make me sign. It still didn't feel like enough. Tuesday morning, I woke up to someone pounding on my door. I opened it to find Patricia standing there with her phone out, recording. I need to document another lease violation, she said loudly. You've been harassing other tenants and creating a hostile living environment. What are you talking about? I have 3 signed statements from residents claiming you've been aggressive and intimidating. That's grounds for immediate lease termination. Rachel's words came back to me, something she can't spin or talk her way out of. I looked directly at Patricia's phone camera and kept my voice calm. That's interesting, because I have a security camera in my living room that recorded you destroying my apartment last week. Everything. Every piece of furniture you flipped, every dish you smashed, every drawer you dumped out. All time-stamped and backed up to cloud storage. Patricia's phone wavered. The color drained from her face. You're lying, am I? I kept my tone steady, conversational, because I'm pretty sure vandalism and fraud are criminal offenses, and I'm pretty sure my footage would be very interesting to the housing authority investigator who called me yesterday. Patricia lowered her phone. Her hand was shaking. There's no camera, she said, but her voice cracked. Then you have nothing to worry about. See you in court. I closed the door and locked it. Then I stood there listening to Patricia's footsteps retreat down the hallway. Patricia didn't knock on my door for 3 days. Brandon texted me Wednesday afternoon. She canceled the building meeting she scheduled for tonight. Just sent an email saying she's dealing with personal matters. Then Vanessa texted. Patricia came by this morning asking if I'd seen any cameras in the hallways or common areas. She looked completely rattled. I didn't respond to either of them. I just waited. Thursday morning, I got a call from an unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Patricia's voice came through shaky and uncertain. Hi, this is Patricia. I've been reviewing the situation with Unit 5D, and I think there may have been some miscommunication about the inspection findings. Could you call me back when you get a chance? I'd like to discuss this privately before we proceed with any legal action. I deleted the voicemail and didn't call back. That afternoon, another note appeared under my door. This one wasn't printed on official letterhead. It was handwritten on plain paper. We should talk about resolving this matter without involving courts or third parties. I'm available anytime this week. I took a photo of the note and added it to my evidence folder. Friday morning, Patricia called again. This time I answered. Yes? I wanted to touch base about the eviction notice. Her voice was careful, measured. I've been thinking that perhaps we moved too quickly on this. There might be room for negotiation. Negotiation about what? About the damages, about the lease termination. I'm willing to reconsider the situation if we can come to an understanding. What kind of understanding? There was a long pause. I'd like to see the footage from your security camera to verify what actually happened during the inspection. Why would I show you that? Because if there's been a misunderstanding, we should clear it up before this becomes a legal issue. I'm sure we can resolve this between us. The housing authority investigator seemed pretty interested in the footage too, I said. Maybe I should just give it to them. Patricia's breath caught. You spoke to housing authority? They called me. Apparently I'm not the first tenant who's had problems with you. Those are completely separate matters. Resolved matters. This situation with your apartment is different. Is it? Because it sounds like you have a pattern of destroying tenant property and blaming them for it. That's not what happened. I came in for a routine inspection and found existing damage. The inspection was completely legitimate. Then you have nothing to worry about. My camera footage will prove you're telling the truth. Another long pause. When Patricia spoke again, her voice was quieter. What do you want? I want you to withdraw the eviction notice. I can't do that. The damage is documented. My contractors assessed. Your contractors who you paid to back up your story? The housing authority is going to love hearing about that. You're threatening me. I'm protecting myself. There's a difference. Patricia hung up. Within an hour, Brandon knocked on my door. She just left the building in a hurry. Looked like she was going to be sick. I nodded but didn't say anything. Saturday morning brought another handwritten note. This one was more desperate.
Please call me. We need to resolve this before it escalates further. I'm willing to be flexible on the terms.
I called Rachel and told her everything that had happened since Tuesday.
She's panicking,
Rachel said. She thinks you have actual proof and now she's trying to do damage control. What if she calls my bluff? Then you're in the same position you were before, but right now, she's scared. Use that. I called Patricia that afternoon. I've thought about your offer, I said. Here's what I want. You withdraw the eviction notice. You pay for all the damage you caused to my apartment. And you sign a statement admitting you entered my unit without proper notice and caused the destruction. I can't sign something like that. It's an admission of liability. Then we go to court and I show the judge my footage. Your choice. How much are we talking about for the repairs? I'll get estimates and send them to you. And the eviction notice?
Withdrawn immediately in writing.
Patricia was quiet for a long time. I need to think about this. You have until Monday. After that, I'm sending everything to the housing authority investigator and filing a police report for vandalism. I hung up before she could respond. Sunday morning, I woke up to find an envelope under my door. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Eviction notice for Unit 5D is hereby withdrawn. Inspection findings were inconclusive and requested require further review. No action will be taken regarding lease termination at this time. Patricia Brennan. I read it 3 times, then I took a photo and texted it to Brandon, Vanessa, and Caleb. Brandon responded immediately. Holy crap, you actually did it. But the notice didn't mention the repairs. It didn't mention payment for the damages. It was Patricia trying to close the door on the eviction while avoiding any admission of guilt. I called her. I got your note. Good, then we're settled. Not even close. You still owe me for the damages. And I still want a written statement admitting what you did. I withdrew the eviction. That's all you're getting. Then I'll see you in court. With my video evidence. There is no video, Patricia said suddenly. You're bluffing. I checked the entire apartment. There's no camera anywhere. My hand tightened around the phone. You broke into my apartment again? I did another inspection, which is within my rights as landlord. So you committed another crime to check if I was lying about the first crime. That's bold. You have no proof of anything. No video, no evidence. Just the word of one neighbor who heard some noises. I kept my voice steady. You sure about that? Yes, I'm sure. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to accept the withdrawn eviction notice and move on. Or I'm going to refile with even more documentation. Your choice. I don't think you will. Why not? Because you just admitted you entered my apartment without notice to search for a camera. That's illegal entry, and I recorded this entire phone call. The line went dead. I sat on my couch and stared at my phone. I hadn't actually recorded the call, but Patricia didn't know that. 10 minutes later, she called back. What do you want? Her voice was barely above a whisper. The same thing I wanted before. You pay for the damages. You give me a written apology, and this whole thing goes away quietly. How much? I thought about the broken furniture, the shattered dishes, the emotional damage of living in terror for 2 weeks. $15,000, plus a written statement that you caused the damage during an unauthorized entry. That's extortion. That's the price of making your illegal activity go away. Otherwise, I take everything I have to the housing authority, the police, and anyone else who'll listen. Your choice. Patricia was breathing hard on the other end of the line. I need time to get that kind of money together. You have until tomorrow morning. Cash or bank transfer. And the written statement. And you'll delete the footage? What footage? She hung up again. I texted Brandon. She's going to pay. I think this is actually going to work. He responded with 3 exclamation points and a thumbs up emoji. That night, I barely slept. Patricia could still call the bluff. She could refuse to pay and force me into court where I'd have to admit I'd been lying the whole time. She could file a complaint against me for extortion. She could do a dozen things that would make my life worse than it already was. But by Sunday night, I hadn't heard from her. No calls, no texts, no notes under the door. Monday morning arrived with a knock at 7:30. I opened the door to find Patricia standing there holding a manila envelope. Her eyes were red. She looked like she hadn't slept. Can I come in? I stepped aside and let her enter. She walked to the center of my living room and stood there looking around like she was seeing it for the first time. I brought the statement, she said quietly, and I can transfer the money today. She handed me the envelope. Inside was a single typed page. I, Patricia Brennan, acknowledge that on the afternoon of October 3rd, I entered Unit 5D without proper notice and caused damage to the tenant's property during an unauthorized inspection. I take full responsibility for the destruction and agree to compensate the tenant for all damages incurred. It was signed and dated. I read it twice. This admits everything. I know. Why would you sign this? Patricia looked at me. Because I can't afford to have this investigation go any further. The housing authority is already looking into complaints from 2 other buildings I manage. If they find a pattern, I'll lose my property management license. I'll lose everything. She pulled out her phone and opened her banking app. What's your account information? I gave her the numbers and watched as she initiated a transfer for $15,000. The confirmation appeared on her screen within seconds. It'll take a day or 2 to clear, she said, but it's done. I looked at the statement again. What about the other tenants? The ones you did this to before? I can't fix that. I don't have enough money to pay everyone back. This is all I can do. So I'm just the lucky one who called your bluff. Patricia's expression hardened. You didn't call anything. You had footage. You recorded everything. I didn't correct her. She walked toward the door, then stopped. Can I ask you something? What? Why didn't you just take the withdrawn eviction notice and move on? Most people would have been happy with that. Because you destroyed my home and tried to ruin my life, and you needed to face consequences for it. Patricia nodded slowly. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I am. She left without waiting for a response. I stood in my apartment holding the signed statement and watching the door close. Then I texted Brandon. She paid. It's over. He responded immediately. Wait, seriously? She actually gave you the money? And a signed confession. Holy crap, can I come up? 5 minutes later, Brandon was reading Patricia's statement with his mouth hanging open. This is insane. She admitted everything because she thinks I have video proof. Brandon looked up. You don't actually have a camera, do you? No, I made it up. But she believed it enough to break into my apartment a second time to look for it, and that's when she really screwed herself. So you bluffed your way into $15,000 and a written confession. Pretty much. Brandon shook his head. You're either a genius or completely reckless. Probably both. Vanessa knocked on the door next, followed by Caleb. Word had spread through the building fast. By noon, I had 6 different tenants asking me how I'd gotten Patricia to back down. I showed them the statement. Each person who read it had the same reaction. Shock, then anger, then something close to hope. Can we use this? Caleb asked. Like if she tries this with someone else? You can make copies if you want, but this only covers what she did to me. It's not proof of anything else. Vanessa took a photo of the statement with her phone. It's proof of a pattern, though. If she tries this again, we have documentation that she's done it before. By Monday afternoon, Olivia Grant from the housing authority called me back. I heard Patricia withdrew your eviction notice, she said. That's good news. She also paid me $15,000 and signed a statement admitting she destroyed my apartment. There was a long pause. She did what? I sent Olivia a photo of the statement. She called me back 10 minutes later. This is a confession. This is exactly what we need to establish a pattern of behavior. Can you send me the original? What happens if I do? We add it to our investigation file. If we find sufficient evidence of systematic violations, we can revoke her property management license and refer the case to the district attorney's office. She could face criminal charges for fraud and property damage. Will it affect the money she paid me? No, that's a separate settlement between you and her, but this statement could help other tenants who've been affected by her actions. I told Olivia I'd send the original by the end of the week. Tuesday morning, I woke up to a text from an unknown number. This is Patricia. I need that statement back. I made a mistake signing it. I'll add another $5,000 to your account if you return it, and promise not to share it with anyone. I screenshot the text and sent it to Olivia. She called me immediately. Do not respond to that message. She's trying to eliminate evidence. This actually strengthens our case against her. What should I do? Nothing. Let her keep digging her own grave. I didn't respond to Patricia's text. By Tuesday afternoon, she'd sent 3 more messages, each one more desperate than the last. Please, I'm begging you. I'll lose everything if that statement gets out. I have a family. I have 2 kids. This will destroy us. You got what you wanted. Why are you doing this to me? I forwarded each message to Olivia, then blocked Patricia's number. Wednesday morning, Brandon knocked on my door holding his phone. You need to see this. He showed me a post on the building's private social media group. Someone had shared Patricia's statement, along with a detailed timeline of similar incidents involving other tenants. The post had 73 comments, most of them from current and former residents describing their own experiences with Patricia. One comment stood out. She did the same thing to me last year, destroyed my apartment and blamed me for it. I lost my security deposit and had to move out. I wish I'd had proof like this. Another comment. I'm currently fighting an eviction notice for property damage I didn't cause. This proves she's been doing this for years. By Wednesday afternoon, the post had been shared in 3 other tenant advocacy groups. People were comparing notes, documenting patterns, building a case that went far beyond just my situation. Thursday morning, Olivia called me. We're moving forward with a formal investigation. Based on the statement you provided and the complaints we've received from other tenants, we have sufficient evidence to pursue license revocation. Patricia Brennan will be notified of the investigation by the end of the week. What does that mean for her? It means she'll likely lose her property management license. She'll be prohibited from managing rental properties in this city. And if the district attorney decides to pursue criminal charges, she could face fines or jail time for fraud and property damage. I thanked Olivia and hung up. Friday afternoon, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I answered cautiously. Hello? This is James Brennan. I'm Patricia's husband. I need to talk to you about what's happening with my wife. I don't think we have anything to discuss. Please just hear me out. Patricia told me everything. What she did to your apartment, the other tenants, all of it. I had no idea any of this was happening. Okay, she's going to lose her license, probably face criminal charges. Our family is falling apart because of this. I'm not asking you to feel sorry for her, but I'm asking you to consider the impact this is having on our kids. They're 8 and 10. They don't understand why their mom is crying every day. I didn't say anything. I know she messed up. I know she hurt you and a lot of other people. But does she really deserve to lose everything? Her career? Her reputation? Maybe her freedom? She destroyed my apartment and tried to get me evicted for it, I said. She did the same thing to at least a dozen other people. She didn't think about consequences then. Why should I think about them now? Because you're better than her. You already won. You got your money. You got your confession. Isn't that enough? It's not about winning. It's about making sure she can't do this to anyone else. James was quiet for a moment. I understand. I just wanted to try. He hung up. I sat on my couch and stared at the signed statement lying on my coffee table. Patricia had made a choice to destroy people's homes and blame them for it. She'd made a choice to target vulnerable tenants who couldn't fight back. She'd made a choice to prioritize her own profit over people's safety and stability. The money cleared on Wednesday. $15,000 sitting in my account like proof that standing up to bullies sometimes actually works. I spent the next 2 weeks apartment hunting. Found a place 3 miles away with a landlord who had spotless reviews and a policy of never entering units without 24-hour written notice. The lease included a clause about tenant privacy rights. I signed it immediately. Moving day was quiet. Brandon helped me load boxes into a rental truck. Vanessa brought coffee. Caleb carried furniture down 3 flights of stairs without complaining once. Patricia never came out of her office. The housing authority investigation was still ongoing, but Olivia told me they had enough evidence to proceed with license revocation. 7 other tenants had come forward with similar stories. The district attorney's office was reviewing the case for potential criminal charges. I used part of the settlement money to furnish my new apartment. Bought a couch that nobody had flipped over, plates that nobody had smashed, a bed frame that felt like a fresh start. The first thing I did after unpacking was visit the local animal shelter. The dog I adopted was a 3-year-old mixed breed named Copper, who'd been returned twice for barking too much. Perfect. Now when someone approaches my door, Copper lets me know. Loud and immediate. Nobody's walking in uninvited. Nobody's destroying my home while I'm at work. Nobody's making me feel unsafe in the place I'm supposed to feel safest. Patricia's building is under new management now. I heard she sold it to avoid the mounting legal problems. I don't know where she ended up, and I don't care. What I do know is this. I called her bluff with a bluff of my own, and somehow it worked. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop your favorite part in the comments. See you in the next one.